Shabbat Shalom, everyone. I prepared a talk for this morning about the Parsha. I prepared a talk for this morning about a letter that was authored on behalf of the Zionist Rabbinic Coalition's leadership, Rabbi Stuart Weinblatt, to the Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, on behalf of the new legislation that's being proposed to create a new, larger authority at the Kotel on behalf of the Rabbanut. I prepared a small talk about my incredible experience at the AIPAC Congressional Summit last week. And around 1 o'clock in the morning, I realized two things. There was a chance I might see Rich Robin in the sanctuary and at Purim this week. I wasn't expecting that. And number two, I should throw all those talks in the garbage and talk about Iran. I want to start out by acknowledging that as the American Operation Epic Fury, is underway, and as the Israeli Operation Roaring Lion, is underway, my thoughts and prayers, and all of us, are with the brave men and women of the American and Israeli armed forces, who at this moment whether they be serving in the sky, on the ground, or in the sea, at this moment, they attempt to do something that the world has desperately needed for more than 4 decades, and that's to bring a greater sense of freedom and democracy to the Middle East. And unfortunately, the responsibility of any type of moral courage falls on the only two nations that exude any, and that's the United States and the State of Israel. I couldn't be prouder at this moment to be an American Jew. Why and how does this moment begin to shape our understanding of the Torah and the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible? How does it inform us in our worldview in any way? I briefly touched on this last night, and I'll go a little bit deeper today. But what this Shabbos is called, it carries with it a special name called Shabbat Zachor, a Shabbat of memory. What are we remembering this Shabbat? Well, as I explained last night, everything. Jews never forget anything. That's one of the reasons why people hate us. We're remembering this Shabbat in particular, the cosmic battle that we face with evil in the world. We are, as a people, supposed to stand against Amalek, the tribe that embodies evil in the Torah, and all of the inheritors of that evil across time and space. And in the cosmic battle that is between the Jewish people and Amalek, there is no doubt that we will meet each other again and again and again. So in the Torah, Moses and the children of Israel meet Amalek in the wilderness. Then in the Haftorah, King Saul meets Amalek in the land of Israel in the form of king of Agag. And then this all leads to Monday night, the reading of the Megillah, when the Jewish people will face the descendant of Amalek, the descendant of King Agag, Haman in Shushan. May his name be erased with our groggers. And today, once again, for those of us who thought mistakenly that the Torah and that the Megillah was about characters who lived long ago in a time and place rather than about the Torah directing us in this moment of our lives, informing us about our past, our present, and indeed our future, we find ourselves returning to exactly that time and place, exactly to Persia, to face the greatest evil in the world today. And so, this also becomes the first Purim Shabbat Zachor weekend in many, many decades here at Valley Beth Shalom, in which I've decided to return back to the traditional Haftorah from the book of Samuel. For many years, Rabbi Shulweiss insisted that we read a Haftorah about peace and harmony, instead of a Haftorah about the war between King Saul and Agag. And now, as I begin to assess all of the traditions here at VBS and reconsider Haftorahs that should be replaced, I believe especially in 2026, the message of a cosmic battle between good and evil, in which we ought to find ourselves not only on the good side, but actually responsible for leading the good, is more significant than ever before. I want to be clear about what we're hoping for. And of course, I want to rely on one of the first ballot Rabbinic Hall of Famers to support my argument. The Jewish people, especially this weekend on Shabbat Zachor, is not hoping for a victory in the war. I can tell you with absolute certainty, however this ends, the Prime Minister of Israel and the President of the United States will declare absolute victory. There's no doubt in my mind. There'll be a video that circulates on all of our cell phones, whether it be in a few days, whether it be in a few weeks, whether it be in a few months. I have no doubt that the concept of regime change that President Trump alluded to is absolutely in the plans. And if the idea is to remove a singular leader from Iran, I stand before you today to tell you that that goal, that bar, is way too low. The idea here is not to remove a singular leader from Iran. When President Trump said the hour of your freedom is at hand to the Iranian people, the idea is that we create some sort of cosmic shift, both in the country of Iran and in the Middle East at large, to return to an era of greater cooperation between those who love freedom and her friends, between those who love democracy and her neighbors, between those who aspire to a more hopeful, optimistic, neighborly, cooperative environment, and all those in agreement. For us to understand why this is the case, you have to understand that Purim, according to the rabbis, is much more significant, much more crucial to the Jewish year than we give it credit. We celebrate, we eat pizza, just like Mordechai and Esther. We have drinks and we read the Megillah. But the rabbis of the Talmud, and the rabbis of the Zohar, and the rabbis of the Hasidic movements did not imagine Purim as a silly day at all. Purim is the Or text, and the day that's like it is Yom Kippurim, Yom Kippurim. One day is the day that's meant to be the most serious day of the year. The other day is supposed to be a day that's adjacent, that's similar to the most serious day of the year. And I stand before you to say that as Jews in the diaspora who read the Megillah, the story of Esther, who read about the most expansive, wonderful empire in the history of the world that turned against its Jewish population in the drop of a hat through the method of lottery. It should be the most sobering story for us who are most fortunate to live in the most gracious, most welcoming diaspora in the history of the world, as the world begins to feel more topsy-turvy than it has in many, many decades. We're told to wear masks, we're told to be silly, we're told to have drinks, we're told to eat, to enjoy. We're told to do all of the things, believe it or not, that we are prohibited from doing on Yom Kippur. Because Purim is the ultimate masking. Purim is the ultimate masking of what is most crucial in order for Jewish continuity and survival. The Lebovitzer Chabad movement began with the figure called the Alter Rebbe, Shneur Zalman of Liadi. And in his teachings, in a book called Torah Or, The Light of Torah, he connects Purim and Yom Kippur. He extends that connection out from the Talmud and the Zohar. And he explains that just like Purim is a holiday predicated on the lottery system, so too Yom Kippur is predicated on the lottery system of the Torah of deciding which goat would indeed be sacrificed and which goat would be cast away, just as the Purim story tells us about residing within the gates of the castle, of the palace. On Yom Kippur, if you pay attention to the liturgy, we're constantly beseeching God to allow us to enter through the gates of the palace. Every time he read the phrase, Mordechai yatsa milifnei hamelech, for Mordechai would withdraw from the presence of the king, and every time he read Mordechai yashav b'sha'ar hamelech, Mordechai would return to the gates of the king. He read it as Mordechai was doing tshuva, yashav, tshuva, in order to be able to return and enter the palace. And when Mordechai would leave the palace, or forced away from the palace, it was because of the behavior of the Jewish people in this moment. And trust me, as somebody who did their PhD, their dissertation in the book of Esther, I have to tell you that his reading tracks in its own right. It forms a roadmap. It forms a roadmap. And the roadmap is not a roadmap that promises the survival and the continuity of the Jewish people. That's the pshat reading, that's the literal reading of the book of Esther. The deeper reading of the book of Esther is how are we to make such an impact on the world that we as a small people have the ability to shape massive empire. How do we do it in a way where the morning after Purim, those empires, the world over, are changed forever? Perhaps on Yom Kippur we look deep inside of ourselves, but on Purim we realize that when we look deep inside ourselves, we find each other. And it's in your saving that I have any future whatsoever. If I don't care about the Jews of Bondi Beach, then my children don't have a future. If I don't care about the Jews who are right now, lighting candles and doing Havdalah in shelters around Israel because of the hundreds of ballistic missiles and drones that have been launched against it, then we have no future here in Encino. if we don't care about the freedom-loving people that fill the streets of Tehran, then we need not stand for the Star-Spangled Banner and profess our own faith in liberty and democracy for all who seek it. Purim is the day that teaches us you can look inside all you want. In the end, you're probably going to have to look at the society and the neighbors around you, and you might even have to fight. And when that day comes and the fight begins, don't merely fight for survival. Don't merely fight for survival. Fight to change the world for the better. This is an extraordinary opportunity for so many across the world. Let's not just advocate for mission accomplished. Let's advocate for something even grander than that. Let's advocate for a safer, better world. A world in which Iran can once again be welcomed within the community of nations. Iran can be considered a friend and an ally and a partner for all who love freedom and democracy. And as we hope for that, let's recognize that we're surrounded by families both here in the United States and families throughout the state of Israel whose sons and daughters are the ones who are responsible for trying to bring about that vision. May God give each and every one of the American soldiers and each and every one of the Israeli soldiers a sense of strength and protection in carrying out this sacred mission. May we defeat Amalek once and for all.